culture. Okay, resuming recording. So we started with what are our definitions of a workplace culture, and there was a lot to say about values and beliefs and all these different things, how we get things done here, how the community works together, all those things. And that was great. And I said, hold on to that, because we have a professional who's going to be speaking into that. But before we get Jonathan onto the call directly to speak to all of us, we wanted to do a pulse check, and we're going to use a poll. On a scale of 1 to 5, rate how much you love working at your business or your workplace. So let's go ahead and do that. Please respond to the poll and let's see. So 5, like I was saying before, 5 means, oh, I absolutely love my workplace or my business, if you're working in your business. 1, and there were a few ones that had come through when we dropped off. 1 is just, if I had an option, I would go somewhere else. I don't like this place. It's like pulling teeth. It's like milking stones. I don't like it. Okay. And remember this, we're not recording this for your reference or anything. So it's completely okay for you to respond with a 1 or a 5 or anything in between. Okay. And then we'll get into this discussion with that in mind. So we're about 50% of us, closer to 50% of us have responded. I hope you're responding honestly and you're not under any pressure to respond differently. For those who are responding in the chat, kindly let's use the Omari, Jane, and a few others. Let's use the poll on the screen. So there's a poll on your screen. All you have to do is select one of those numbers. Okay. Yes. Okay. I see you're doing that now. Good, good, good. And this is, I think, going to start us off very well about this discussion on workplace culture and how it interacts with ethical excellence and accountability. Okay. 55%. Let me give you 10 or so more seconds to respond to this poll. We have about 60% of us have responded. If you haven't, that's you we're waiting for. So kindly respond and then we'll move. Let's see. 61. So 60%, let's take it to 70% response rate. And being a bit academic as well, I'm like, no, we can't take anything less than 70%. Let's push. So if you haven't responded, let's cross the line. We're at about 65% right now. And I'll, in a short while, let you know what the poll looks like. So you can find out on a scale of 1 to 5, how much people love or don't love working at their workplaces. Okay, so almost at 70%. Come on. Let's go. If you haven't responded, it's about 12 people who haven't responded. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to have to end the poll here. I was hoping to get 70, but we got close to 70. Okay, so if you can see the response on your screen, I'm going to share the results right now. As you can see, so 42% of us love the 5, so 37% of us. So most of us are feeling really good about where we work and the workspace, workplace culture there, right? But there's a small percentage of us, is like maybe 5%, who are actually not. If I take 3 downwards, it's about 25% of us. So 1 in 4 of us are struggling with some aspect of our workplace culture, because that's what makes you determine whether you love working where you work or not. And at this point, I'd like to invite our guest for today. His name is Jonathan Cook. He is an entrepreneur, but he's especially biased towards the side of education, and he likes educating entrepreneurs and making a difference in that aspect. From way earlier in his career, he just fell in love with the aspect of learning and has been very involved in adult learning, especially as pertains to business schools and entrepreneurship and all those things. He's also chairman and co-founder of AMI. Round of applause, please. Round of applause. Give me your thumbs up and the claps and so on. Remember, I said this program is a collaboration between CoBank and AMI. And ladies and gentlemen, we've managed to get the chairman and co-founder here today. So, Jonathan, thank you so much. So I should mention quickly, he's also been, he's an entrepreneur, he's running organizations and things like that, but he's also very involved in organizational health, okay? And that's what is very important for us over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be looking at work culture, organizational health, from whether even if you're saying my business is really small, we're just 3 people, down to a massive organization where I have several hundred employees. Jonathan has done lots of coaching, executive coaching, and all these different aspects of the field. So he's just the right person to speak to us. Jonathan, welcome. I hope I did justice to your introduction. If I left out one thing, please let me know.
Thanks, Sam. No, that's great. The one thing, I'm a psychologist, so I enjoy people, and I'm delighted to meet the good entrepreneurs in this group. I have great admiration for people who start businesses and run them successfully. So I'm delighted to be here with you, Sam.
Very good. Now I'm going to share the results again and ask for your comment on workplace culture. When I ask people how much they love working at their business or workplace, these are the results we got. What are your thoughts?
Thanks, Sam. Yes, well, so about 80% of us really love our work, really love it, or mostly love it. And that's good. But I would expect that actually, Sam, because the people in this webinar are mostly the owners, those who are running the businesses. And so you'd expect probably most of us to be positive about the culture. It'd be really interesting to run this survey with our staff. And it'd be particularly interesting, in fact, Sam, to run what we think our staff think and then what our staff actually think. Because if there isn't a coincidence between those two, then we've got a bit of a problem.
That should make for a very interesting Monday morning meeting.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Jonathan is going to be here. The structure of this is going to be very conversational. So we're going to have about 15 minutes, as usual, 15 minutes of a conversation. And at the end of that, at any point in this, if you have a question that you want to make, just make it, let's try to make it really brief so we can read it out, so we can get a good answer. Put it in the chat or in the Q&A so that Jonathan can respond to it. So we'll have 15 minutes of a conversation and then 10 minutes of a Q&A, okay? And that will be our time with Jonathan. So Jonathan, first of all, how do you even describe these things? Workplace culture. Yeah. What's your definition? Yeah. What's your understanding?
Well, the popular one, the most basic one is what we do about here. You know, around here in our business, what do we do? And then Sam, when we were talking before this meeting, you added the useful addition, and what don't we do? That's a real test, isn't it, of what we are. So who we are. Then I've got a 3-part definition, if you like. It's the set of it goes with head, heart, and hands. The assumptions, the head, the thoughts, the assumptions that we have in our heads, and then the heart, the commitments in our heart, what we feel strongly about, and then hands, what we do, our habits. Because a lot of what we do in our organizations are habitual. We tend to repeat the things that we always do, and that is what we do around here. That's part of our culture. So it's our assumptions, what we notice, what we don't notice, etc., our passion, and our habits. And all of these affect, of course, our productivity and how well we work together.
Could you give me some sorry, go ahead.
I interrupted you. Sorry, Sam. I was going to say that culture is really important. I'm glad we're dealing with this, because as a leader, your task is to form the culture of the organization, and then that steers everything else. And I like to think of a company like a person. A company also has a personality. We have moods and feelings in the company. Those are shared ones. So you can think of it, if you're married or if you have a partner, a life partner, you'll know that every day you are noticing how she or he is feeling. You're listening closely to hear what's going on. You're noticing what's happening to her, noticing her moods, talking and sharing, and sometimes giving a special treat because you love her. And we love our companies, don't we? And we want to spend time just in the same way, getting to know this this company person and building the opportunities that he or she has to be a full, wonderful person. And that's how I see building culture in a company.
I really love that. And I'm going to go, I'm not new to going off the script, but I really love something that you just mentioned there. Imagine so I'm turning this question to everyone, and we have over 100 people. So if you, now this is the question I'm adding. Imagine your business is a person. What mood is your business in? Please type it in the chat. I'd be very curious. I think this is going to make for a very interesting conversation, these images that we're getting. Okay, let me get some responses in the chat. Please type in the chat. If you think of your company as a person, what mood is it in? Let's see some responses there. Just going to give it a moment. What mood is your company in? In an anxious, okay, good. I love it. Gabriel says he's in an anxious mood. Rosalind, calm. Amina says ill. Stormy says confused, calm, sad, anxious, smiling, and passionate. Very interesting. I've actually never thought of personalizing it that way. Like if my company were a person, what mood? But the fact that our companies and our businesses can be in a certain mood. Okay. Thank you very much for your responses in the chat. I'm bringing it back to Jonathan. Jonathan, so what you've talked about the mindset, you talked about the actions and habits. What does this, on a practical note, what does that actually look like in a business?
Well, it's the things that we do. I think it's really important that you do look, as you just said, Sam, and watch. And how do we do that? Well, we talk to people continually. One of your jobs as a business leader is to talk, but particularly to listen, to be aware of what's going on. So you want to look at the expressions on people's faces, the energy that they have. Your job is to energize the company. And we're particularly talking today about an ethical culture and a culture of accountability. So there you want to look for, are people willingly doing what they are meant to be doing? And are they excited by it? You could do a survey if you like, but not in a small company. You're in touch with your people. So are they cooperating well? Do they help each other? In AMI, one of the things we have on our Slack channel, which is internal communications channel, is praise, an area where you can just drop a note of thanks to somebody or admiration for what they've done or doing. So are those kind of positive affirmations coming through? Because you want people to be committed to each other. And then is there honesty? Are people willing to call things as they are? Because that's part of accountability, and part of ethical soundness is to be able to speak the truth when it's needed, to speak the truth in love, so do it positively, but to be honest in how one responds to people.
Very good. Now I'm very curious because the greatest part of our audience, again, everyone here is an entrepreneur, so all of us typically fall under the bracket of SMEs, so small and medium enterprises. What, from your study and from your experiences, what are some of the unique challenges that small businesses may face when trying to establish a culture of excellence and accountability and all the good things that we are thinking about?
Yeah, so what I've seen and what I've experienced as an entrepreneur myself is that a small business usually doesn't have the structures that go with accountability in big businesses. So in terms of governance, a board that feels responsible for the governance of the company, well-prepared policies, an internal audit that is monitoring what's happening in the company, external auditors who are checking for compliance, training department, they can keep you up to date, all those things. We don't normally have those in our small businesses. Another another challenge is that quite often we use casual staff or temporary staff or part-time staff. And it's more difficult to kind of bring them into the culture of the company when they're coming and going. So that's a challenge. And quite often there's a rough competitive environment in which we have to work. So we've got other small companies whose ethical standing might be quite suspect at times. And they may be cutting corners and issuing bribes, whatever it might be. And we have to face that as a competitive challenge.
And then imagine there's also the pressure of the external business environment. So we're trying to stay alive. We are not too focused on keeping the house clean. We're looking for food to keep alive. And how does that external pressure affect culture? What do you think?
Well, it's huge. And in fact, one of the roles of the leader of the company is to be a gatekeeper. What do you let in and what do you keep out from the company? You want to be honest throughout the whole time, as much as you can, sharing as much as you can, but don't let negative aspects of the external business culture infect your company. One of the things I've made it a point of doing is looking at the orientation of new staff when they arrive. And AMI has a whole process you go through of people you meet and so on. And I like to meet every new staff member when they arrive, talk about our values, and try to explain how AMI is perhaps different from the company they might have worked in before. Because we're unique and your company is unique, and you need to hold what's important for you, regardless of what everyone else is doing. Someone has to lead. You know, if we all just follow the crowd, we're sheep. We're not leaders if we're sheep. Who's going to be the shepherd? Who's going to set the tone? And let me say that whilst it is easy to give in to practices that you might not be quite comfortable with in order to be competitive, you've got to live with yourself for the rest of your life. And it's up to you to make decisions about, you know, when you can compromise or not compromise. I can't judge it for you. But for myself, I quite frankly, I would quite frankly rather not make a profit than compromise my values, because for me, that's most important. And, you know, I'm in Johannesburg at the moment in South Africa, and the price South Africa has paid as a country for slipping ethical standards, particularly in the government and parastatal areas, is just huge. It was estimated recently that our Electricity Supply Commission, Eskom, loses R1 billion a month. Now they're about 18 Rand to the dollar. So that's more than $50 million every month to corruption and theft. That's $50 million every month being lost in just one institution because of slipping ethics. So let's be strong in this. It affects companies, it affects industries, it affects whole countries, and someone's got to stand up for it. So excuse the sermon, but that's my particular take on it.
I love that you went down there, and I also appreciate that it's a very practical example of this is what happens when we don't keep those values, especially as leaders, and we have a responsibility. So it's our responsibility as the leaders of the businesses, as whether you have a business of 2 or 1,000, it's our responsibility as leaders to define that. Now, the question that I'm asking next is a bit piggybacking off of that one. So as the leader, there's this key role. So you hold the line. How do you pass the ability to make that kind of decision to your staff? I know you talked about meeting them at the door when they come in, but on a regular basis, how do you make sure that those values stay there, that the kind of decisions you make stay? How do you cause it to stick?
Yeah, good. I think the first thing, of course, is to be an example yourself. We have to, as leaders of business, we have to demonstrate what we're talking about. And we need to be very transparent in how we go about things so that our colleagues can know that we don't just preach about it, that we actually live our values. Then I think it's important to talk about it. So if you do make a decision on the basis of your ethical commitment, tell the staff about it. You know, we were invited to pass a brown envelope to the official who was adjudicating the tender, and I didn't do it because that's not what we do. That's not who we are, and so we'll lose the tender probably, but we'll get another one. And in the long run, we'll be known as honest, and they'll stop asking us. And that's the long-term advantage of it. Because once you start, of course, giving bribes, then you're open to bribery forever. Yeah. The next thing is to be very clear in what is expected. So be it yourself, and then be clear what you expect. Because it's not always clear to people what is and what isn't good to do. So use examples, use little case studies. I know I was asked to do this and this and this, and I decided we could because of this, or we couldn't because of that, or so-and-so here raised with me a good question. Thank you, John, for raising this question. This is the question, and then talk about it. So you're training them, in fact, day by day in talking about it. And then the other thing, so that's growing people's commitment, doing the right thing. At the same time, we also have to have consequences. Make sure there are very clear and visible consequences. And if, very sadly, you have to fire somebody because they've stolen or whatever it might be, make it visible. I do say in AMI that we've got 5 great values. One of them is integrity, or do what's right. We can all make mistakes, but that's the one value which, if you break that one, I'll fire you. Because dishonesty breaks trust, and trust is essential for our teams to work together. So they must know that. And if you do have to fire somebody, as we had to do a while ago, let it be known why. And then people understand. Not that you want to create a spirit of fear. We want a spirit of commitment and collaboration and excitement, etc. But people need to know there's a boundary, because most
there's a line.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a few people who are always honest. There are a few people who are always dishonest. Most of us are in the middle, and we are steered. We are steered by what's spoken about and by the consequences.
Well, okay. So I'm going to linger on that point. I really like the clarity of how you can look at your staff and your team and say, I love you, but I will fire you. And it's like, oh, that's still a possibility. Interesting. But the question I want to ask you is a bit of a tough one. So imagine I'm an entrepreneur here, and many of us go through this high trust. The person who is perhaps cutting corners, or who is behaving in a way contrary to what I'm looking for as a culture, is also my top talent. Please clap if you agree and you've dealt with this situation. How do you manage that? Like, I want to cause the discipline and all that, but they're also the person who's bringing in the highest income, and how now I'm stuck because I feel like I need them to stay alive, but culture. How do you go about that?
It's a difficult one, and it's very difficult, Sam, to give a general single answer to that. What I would do, first of all, of course, it's one of the most important decisions you make as a business leader is who you employ. So do all you can to do your reference checking, or to get the right people in. And
wait. So let's not browse over that. This is important. Don't hire quickly. Don't just hire off the cuff, and because you have a pressing need, don't just pick up people like that. Is this what you're saying?
Exactly what I'm saying. It's if not the most, certainly one of the most important decisions you make, because your people are your business. Get the right people in. And in your interviewing, have a clever way of checking whether they would take take a step that you don't agree with. And you might ask them, for example, when have you had to cut corners in order to get a job done? Now, that's not a bad thing to do necessarily, depending on what the corner is that you're cutting. So have an innocuous question that there isn't a clear right or wrong answer. And then you can explore a bit further and see whether you and they see eye to eye on these matters. But suppose you've got somebody you trust and they let you down, and that happens. In fact, one of the biggest reasons for a failure of a small business is when your partner steals from you or leaves you for the opposition.
Your business partner,
your business partner, So it certainly happens, and sometimes the people we trust are not worthy of that trust. So what do you do? Someone once said that if you have a dishonest person in your company, you must pray that they are lazy and incompetent. Because the worst kind of employee to have is someone who is both dishonest and very competent, and your star performer, as you put it.
It's hard to let that one go.
It's very hard to let one go. So then you have to think, if they are so good at contributing to my business, how good are they going to be at stealing from me? And if you think that's a big thing,
they'll apply their skill to.
Then rather get rid of them very quickly.
That definitely motivates the answer. Like they're good for now, but they're also good at doing the negative. So do you want to keep them? Okay. No, I really appreciate your candidness with that one. Okay, let's move to the next question. I guess we kind of maybe went there. I was going to ask what's the role. Let me ask you, and then maybe you can let me know if you want to add something. What's the role that individuals play in promoting ethical behavior and accountability in a small business, and how can they perhaps be empowered to do so more? Because we've talked about the leader, but how about individuals?
Yeah, I think that's an important question, because that's what you want to train your people in. And one of the things is just awareness, and we spoke a bit about that. There's something called moral blindness, which we slip into if we're not reminded about what's important. So help people to be aware by talking about it continually. And it's only struck us just, in fact, a month or so ago that we haven't had training in AMI for about a year or two in ethics. And we're going to put a training course together now again for our staff. So this raises the awareness. And then in the behavior, you might give them some guidelines. Somebody defined 4 traps that people use or that not they use, but trap them into dishonest behavior. One is that everyone does it. Don't fall for that. Secondly, it's not a big deal. It's just a small thing. And I know when I was a young person, I was taught, don't even take a pencil home from work. Work won't notice it. But it's the principle. If you take a pencil home, next thing maybe you'll be thinking, well, it's not a thing if I take a ream of paper. And then, well, they won't notice it if I no. So rather make a very clear line of what's yours and what isn't yours. And that's something that your staff need to be aware of. Another trap is I'm just following orders. And told that if you or the manager tell them something to do wrong,
Jonathan,
it's their job to say
you're going very practical here. I see people smiling already. Orders from above.
Exactly. But my job is my job, and my conscience is my conscience. And if the boss says I must do something illegal, I have to say no, actually. I have to do it with respect and positively, and you're the boss, but I can't do that because it's not right. And that's linked to a final point, which is loyalty. Now, loyalty is a great thing. It's a very positive thing. But if we're loyal to the extent of kind of
fault,
of compromising our honesty to a customer or whatever it might be, then it becomes a problem. And so often, Sam, our good things compete. And we have to say, how do we reconcile that loyalty and honesty? And then, of course, this is implied in what I've already said, but courage. Courage is important. Action arises from competence, so knowing what we should do, from motivation, that's being committed to it, and then from courage, the inner courage to do it. And you can encourage your staff members to have courage by not hitting them hard when they speak out and criticize you, accepting opinions, accepting courage to be different. And if they're wrong, you can tell them, but affirm the fact that they've actually stuck their necks out. Well done. Now let me correct you.
Okay. But also when they are right, what I hear you say is affirm their position of courage and say, actually, yes, you are right, and I appreciate the courage that you took to speak up.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right. Let me ask about how you track. So we all know culture is not changed in a day. It takes it's building Rome doesn't take a day. It sort of like grows slowly and very organically. What are the best practices for, measuring and evaluating that effectiveness of the culture growth, especially as we go into ethical excellence and accountability? Just that culture. What are you tracking as Jonathan?
So I think in culture in general, you want to take a dipstick every now and again. If it's a large organization, you might do a culture survey. But if it's 3 or 4 of us, then obviously we're not going to use a big survey. But the thing is to remember to kind of notice, to ask, to talk to people. And one of the things we do in our programs in AMI is ask people to develop practices. Those are habits, and put it in their calendar. So once a month, for example, put a repeat appointment in your calendar to check how we're doing. How's the culture? How's my business spouse here? Is he or she smiling? The lovely word you all put in the chat there, for example. And what can I do as a leader of this organization to move it in the direction that we need to go? So that's one thing. It's just to remind yourself regularly to check it. Then, in terms of ethics, have clear checkpoints. So your accountant has an important role in telling you what's happening, and the accountant will be the one most likely to pick up if there's something strange. The profit last year was this, now it's this. What's happened? Why are the costs gone up in this area? Particularly in the area of procurement, you want to watch and make sure that whoever's responsible for procurement isn't taking a cut. So you want to have two signatures on procurement, not to create a big bureaucracy, but the best way of helping people is to take temptation away. So don't give them opportunities to be dishonest. Rather put processes in. Explain these are processes that protect us, and then do the occasional spot check. Ring up a supplier and say, I'm just checking. We paid you such and such. Is that right? And first of all, how are you doing? And love to work with you, and so on. The last thing was so much. Could you just check that's correct? And in that way, you have a chance to catch anything that might be going on. You can look at your staff for conspicuous consumption, as it's called. Somebody's just bought a new car, or they're wearing great new clothes. There may be a perfectly innocent explanation for it, but it might be.
So we don't pay you that much.
That's right.
But again, they could also be having other sources of income. But it's good to just consider it.
So don't kind of accuse them.
Yeah,
and that leads me to an important point, Sam, which is don't build a culture only of compliance, because that's a negative culture. There must be compliance, yes, but even bigger than compliance is encouragement of initiative. I've actually taken it as my role in the organizations where I've taken a leadership position is to cut down red tape as much as possible. Because we want to encourage people to take initiative, to be excited about what they're doing. We need a fertile ecosystem of opportunities that support enterprise. So leave space for people to do things in their own way. Then, if they do break the law, or your values, you can hit them hard so that they know this isn't what I should be doing, but that they've got space in which to take initiative. A company that only works on compliance is such a discouraging place to work, and you won't keep your best people if that's what it's like.
So it's instead of compliance, we aim for collaboration, if I may say. I think there's a gentleman who said, especially at hiring, think of your employees as partners, and you're hiring them to be partners in your business. And then all of a sudden, it's a bit more, okay, I have to really think about this question, as opposed to just, go ahead and do whatever you need to do. All right. So I'm going to ask you one more question. Hey, if you have a question, Catherine, good to see you again. If you have a question, please put it in the chat. We're going to take 5 quick minutes, or 2 or 3. I'll take maybe 2 or 3 questions because of the time. Or if you just have an insight that you really loved that Jonathan shared, put it in the chat, or if you want to add your own in line with what he's shared, you can go ahead and do that, because there's a lot more wisdom than from the two of us. There's a lot more in the audience. Okay, so but just one more question for Jonathan. I am a small business or medium-sized business owner. I'm growing. How do I stay up to date on the latest perhaps, insights or trends or developments, especially when it comes to this whole world of ethics and excellence and accountability, resources I could use? How do I stay in touch with that?
Good, Sam. I think, well, one thing is to join a professional association or a business association, because quite often they have a code of ethics and will hopefully do update that from time to time. Of course, you can come and join AMI, and we'll keep you alert for things in the growth network. Having a mentor, someone who's experienced in the field and has faced the kind of challenges that you face, is another way of staying in touch. In fact, if we're going to be leaders, each of us also needs to be a follower of some kind, either following a person or following a principle that keeps us on the straight and narrow, so to speak. So those are some ways in which you can try to keep up to date. Of course, what you read and things, events like this that you attend.
Very good. Last question I'm going to ask you is, Jonathan, what are you reading now?
What am I reading?
I see you have a whole bookload behind you, and I'm sure there's stashes of boxes in the house, but just a bit of off the cuff. What are you reading now? What's insightful for you? And that's the last thing I ask you.
I read The Economist. I subscribe to that, so I get that every week. It's a useful international business periodical that has interesting articles in it. And then I've been reading in the area of assumptions about human nature. And there's one, there are a few of them actually that are revising our view about human nature, which tends to be that we are kind of evil beings that need to be disciplined. And that's only part of the truth. It turns out that perhaps even more so, we are positive people who actually want to do good things and to be collaborative. And what is the name of the book? I'm just trying to see if I can see it here. It's oh gosh, I hope I'll remember it in the next second or two. But otherwise, what really struck me about the book is that when we focus on the good side of human nature, we tend to get that response to us. And that's a nice thing to take into our leadership of our companies. Let's assume the best and treat people as if they are really well-meaning, good, positive contributors. And people will tend to rise to that expectation. If we assume that they are evil, need to be controlled, they'll probably fulfill our expectation there as well.
Good. I think that's a really good parting shot. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for being here with us. I know I've kept you longer because we had a bit of a glitch, but I'm so glad that you could make it. And we wish you well on your journey forward. And we appreciate you for all the work that you're doing with AMI and all the other efforts that you're having towards the economic landscape of this continent that we love. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks. It's been great chatting, and I wish our participants everything of the best with their business going forward. Thanks, Sam.
Very good. A round of applause, please, if you can. Use your thumbs, your claps. I see those coming through. Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you very much. All right. Okay, very good, very good. If you'd like to keep in touch with Jonathan, there's an email on the screen. So jonathan@africanmanagers.org. If you want to, someone I think was asking, how can I know more about AMI? There's a link, there's a website, of course, africanmanagers.org. You can go to the website and learn a bit more about programs and things like that. But right now, I want to turn it over to our friends at Corp Bank to find out a bit more when it comes to Cooperative Bank Kenya, some credit solutions, returning to the focus of the financial side of how we can get some support. And I want to invite one of us here. Let me just double check. Joseph, just kindly confirm if that would be you. Joseph Kabora.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's okay. I'll take you through.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. All right, then. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. First, I want to appreciate Jonathan for the insights and the education that he has made us learn this morning. Thank you, Jonathan. So quickly, we need to have a view of what a great solution we can give to us. As also, we need to develop our culture. We need to develop and grow our businesses. So we need some finances to do such. So as co-bank, now that's where we come in. We help you with the financing and we help you improve in your businesses. So in that section, then we have e-credit solutions. These are mobile loans that you can access at the comfort of your mobile and to improve your business. So there are loans that we give to customers to the phone and can be accessed to all business customers. We have broadly two categories of these mobile loans, or we have the e-credit facility for business people. That's why the huge high number of us belong. We have that limits up to 1 million. We give those loans to customers or businesses, and the period of repayment is up to 6 months. So who qualifies? That's a question most of us will ask. All of us who qualifies, we have the sole proprietors, partnerships, limited companies. We have the all sorts. If you are in business, we broadly categorize you in those three. So you can be able to qualify. Individual businesses, which we call sole proprietors, can qualify. So the criteria here is that we need to have cash flows from a business, and then we have a credit score, which we score you depending on your cash flows and the performance of your business. And also, you need to have a platform to access such loans. That's COP Online. COP Online is a platform we give you to access your services, banking services at the comfort of your phone. So what point to note here is that this facility can run concurrently with other working capital loans, mortgage loans, asset finance loans, or another credit facility you could be having. They can run concurrent. Maybe somewhere to next one. Also, yes, that one. So also as businessmen, we are potential employers. We have individuals who work for us. We've been learning on how we develop a good culture. So our employees also can qualify for this facility in e-credit platform, whereby if you are employed, you can qualify up to a maximum of 500,000. So the tenure for this facility, these are people who receive salary, is 3 months. It was a maximum tenure or period you can pay this loan is for 3 months. You are eligible if you are employed and you have at least one salary credit with CoBank. So if you have a CoBank salary account and you are receiving salaries through the account of CoBank, then you are able to qualify for such facility up to 500. So the qualification criteria again here is that you need to have an active salary account. An active salary account will mean that account that has been receiving salary. So a minimum of one site of salary can qualify you to get a salary advance, or flexi as you can call it. Also, we need to have a credit score. That one is obvious, that is internal scores that we have set for you to qualify for such facility. And then COP Online is also another consideration, or you can use the *67 as the one you are conversant with. So through those platforms, you'll be able to get those facilities at the comfort of your desk or of your phone. As I said earlier, also, these loans can run concurrently with other personal loans, mortgage loan, or asset finance loans. So it's not a standalone, it can run alongside. So long as we can evidence the repayment ability, we are able to give you such loans to boost your short-term cash needs. Yes, so those are the credit facilities you can get through the mobile platform that you have said. So you, as I said, that's as simple as they have. So if you may be having questions or any other related to that, we can be able to sort. But in summary, those are the online or e-credit facilities that we can give and enable you and your employees to access. Yes. Some, I think I'm done. That's the insight I wanted to give out the customers and our good members.
Very good. Someone is asking, do you still consider CRB?
Yes, CRB we do. That's where the credit score comes in. The CRB is part of the qualification criteria of the credit score. So we consider CRB. But now, if you have one thing we need to know, as CRB records all running facilities we have. So all of us, we are in CRB. So the point here, are we negatively listed or positively listed? For negatively listed customers, we do consider, but with an explanation that we need to visit the branch to get some explanation, but we need to have a reason why you are negatively listed, but we consider the CRB sum.
Very good. Thank you so much for that response. I'm just going through a couple of them. Catherine says, I have not been able to access my e-loan yet I paid. Any comments on that? How can we get some help for Catherine?
Oh, thanks, Catherine. If you paid your loan, you'll be able to access. No, the criteria here we use some is that qualification, we normally do a score and review of every month, depending on the performance of your account or the receiving of your salary if you are employed. So in every month to give a score and you qualify. So if your account has been active and you have been paying well, then you'll be able to have the limit or the qualification. So we need to have some side engagements with Catherine to know what would be the issue. But automatically, if your account has been active and you're paying well, then you qualify for the loan.
Okay, so maybe practically, Catherine, please type your contact details in the Q&A. That way we'll be the ones who can see it. So then someone will be assigned to reach out to you. Is that okay?
That's very okay, Sam.
Okay, very good. Someone is saying, Edwin Carovia is saying, I paid my loan, but my loan score is 0. Are there any other factors that may cause that?
Yes, there are some factors that will cause that sum, especially if you pay your loan behind schedule. So if you are delayed paying your loan 30 days plus, your score reduces. So quickly, I can explain what a score means. That one, if you're in business, we need to have such sales passing through the account. So the higher the business sales passing through the account, the higher the score. So also the higher the number of transactions you do in a given month also increases your score. And also the timely payment of your loan also affects your score. So if you delay for long not to pay the loan, your score reduces, can lead even to 0 score on the same sum.
Okay, very good. Michael is asking, do you offer loans for stocking? He's unimportant, would like to know about this option.
If I got you well, Sam, you said loans for stocking.
Yes.
Yes, yes. We call them working capital loans. We do give them depending on your working capital needs. So we assess your trading levels or your business working capital needs at the moment where we consider yourselves, and then we give you a value, the maximum value that you qualify, and then you are able to access. Now, if you have such need, we normally have all dedicated relationship managers in our branches. They'll be able to assist you in that. So we give working capital loans, which we know as stock purchase loan facility.
And a practical next step for Michael would be to go to the bank and have this conversation, or is there another option?
Absolutely, you can go to the nearest branch, but also we have our website. You do a chat there. We can assign someone to attend to you, or even if you leave your contact details here, immediately we can reach out to you and advise you.
Right. So Michael, Kimia, I hope you have a response for that. Let me just see. Edwin was asking, I see my business loan is 0. Can I come to the bank to receive a business loan directly? There are 2 options, going to the bank and also online. Please provide the response for that.
Yeah, that's good, Sam. Now, this online or business plus loans that we access through the mobile is one of the loans that we give. So if this limit is 0, maybe for one reason or the other, at our branches, we can be able to give you other loan facilities to boost your business. So if you have this limit as being as 0, so you can access other facilities like the working capital we have talked about to purchase your stocks, and we assess your business performance, and then we'll be able to give you the facility and help you grow your business.
Very good. Francis is asking, can you restructure the repayment period? What are the possibilities of restructuring a payment period to a maximum of 1 year?
That is, we have that option, Sam. We can restructure your facility to meet your repayment preference. So the process here is you need to have a request at the nearest branch, and then we assess, you state the amount you'll be comfortable paying per month, and then we can spread the repayment for that 1 year so that you'll be able to service your loan on time.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Because of time, we will not be able to go too much further down the road, but I did notice that I think a few people are asking about LPO financing. Please tell us a bit about that, and also what's the requirement and next steps, where can they go?
Yes, thank you, Sam. LPO financing, we do that. We give LPO financing. It's just a local purchase order. Maybe you have won a tender that you need to surprise goods or services, or to do a work that needs some financing. We are able to do that. One thing you need to know is just presenting your LPO to us or to the nearest branch, and then we finance the 60% of that LPO, your financing. So when you just bring in your LPO to the branch, we have dedicated bankers there, all relationship managers will be able to process for you. That is as quick as it can be, so long as you have won that tender and you have the award, or you have the LPO itself, we'll be able to finance up to a maximum of 60%.
Very good. Thank you so much, Joseph. I thoroughly appreciate your responses here.
Oh, welcome.
Very good. Again, call to action around this. Like Joseph has mentioned quite a bit, we need to visit our branches for more information, but there's also online resources for information. Okay. But again, the best way, like what we keep saying on this platform, is people, especially when you're looking for money and finance packages, people don't lend money to people they don't know. So let's build that relationship, build a relationship with your core branch manager, and let them know what challenges you have so that they can figure out how they can support you even as you build your business, right? So please leverage also on the digital solutions to continually bank, make payments, and save. And also, I want to show you, if you would like to access the MSME online portal, there's a way to do that. The link is going to be shared in the chat. But for those who have been wondering, how do I access these recordings? So on the screen, if you go to your Google or any other browser, type in Coop Bank SME, okay? If you just search the MSME portal, you'll get these options. All you have to do is click on that top option there, and it takes you to the Coop Bank website, okay? So that already shows you that you're in the right place. And then when you scroll back to the top, it will show you that you can have those options of going to the webinar, okay? Just scrolling to the top here. And if you click on events, if you click on, just give me a second, please. Oh, sorry. There you go. So then you can find the previous sessions that we have had over the last couple of weeks, from sales to finance to marketing and all these different things that we've been able to do. All right, so that's the webinar section, and I hope that you maximize that. All you have to do though is just start with the link that has been shared in the chat. Okay. It's very intuitive and you should be able to get the value there. So we've come to the end. I have gone a bit over. Bear with me because we had a bit of a glitch there. But I want to say thank you so much for being here. If you want to reach out to someone on the corp end, the contacts are on the screen. Take a screenshot or take the number down. There's phone numbers, there's contact center numbers, there's emails, and there's also even a WhatsApp line if you want a quick response. Okay. So that's the contacts there. If you're asking about AMI, Fiona is here. Fiona Maina works behind the scenes and in the foundation side to make sure everything is happening. And she's the core source of our information. So Fiona Maina is here from AMI. That's her email number. That's the line that you can reach her on. Okay. And other than that, we want to say thank you very, very much for being here today. I'd like us to end with a closing prayer. But before we do the closing prayer, I'd like to hear from you. Okay. So you want to use the poll and want to hear from you. So this is the last thing that I'll be getting from you. So a quick feedback poll before we drop off. So as soon as you're done with the feedback poll, then you can drop off. Okay. But for now, help us with your response. We want to find out how has this been impacting you. So first question, what do you feel has been the most valuable part of these webinars? Okay, you can select more than one answer. Is it the topics? Is it the presentation content? Is it the practical examples, the guest speakers, the Q&A section? Any others, you can go ahead and put those in the chat if you have something that's not reflected here. Again, you can put more than one option. This helps us to know how much value you are getting from these webinars because we are building and making them for you. So it's important for us to know that you're getting what you need. And if you need something else, you can give us your feedback so we can focus on making sure we give you what exactly is you need. Okay. So that's the first question. Then if you scroll down, of course, the second question says, what could be improved in the webinar series to better meet your needs? So you can, for what needs to be improved, put it in the chat. If you have an idea that you'd like for us to engage, or you can send the idea to Fiona, whose image and address is on the screen. Okay. Just see. So we're just, after this poll is when we shall officially close. Okay, so we're about 25%. Let's keep going. Yes, your responses are appreciated. I'll just be quiet for a few seconds. Stormy, you're welcome. Christine, you're welcome. Justus, Anne, very good. And if you could use the poll, give us feedback on what exactly you've really loved about these. Francis would love more explanations about loan restructuring. Okay, very good. Duly noted. And we're going to take that into consideration for next week also. So the poll should be on your screen. Okay, there's a poll on your screen right now. To be sharing the recorded. Okay, so Jane, I just showed you how you can access the recording of these webinars. You can just look at the link that has been shared in the chat. So when you click on that link, it takes you to all the webinars that we've had for the last couple of weeks, and you'll find this one also. So as long as you get that link, you don't need to wait for an email. Okay. Yes, recorded versions are on the web. Yes, Gabriel. Thank you so much, Gabriel. All right. I'm just giving it 30 more seconds for the poll. Poll on the screen. Fiona, I think one or two of us may not be seeing the poll. Do you have a quick response to that? If you could, you may not have the option for polls on your screen. Okay, you know what? For today, let's just work with what we have. In terms of, for those who can see the poll, I see that some of you have already responded. And then we'll come back to this another time. But you can put your feedback in the chat. If you can't see the poll, kindly put your feedback in the chat. So Justus, and the question is, what do you feel has been most, okay? What do you feel has been most impactful for you? Is it the topics? So I'll say a few items. Topics, is it the presentation content? Is it the practical examples? Is it the guest speakers? And also, is it the Q&A? Which one of those would you say, if you had to pick one in the chat? All right. All right, very good. The content, okay. Okay, good. Thank you so much for the response there. All right, so in order for us not to take too much more of your time, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll here. Thank you, Benson. And right now I'm going to invite our keynote speaker, Mr. Joseph Kabora, if you could pray for us, and then we'll close the session. Joseph?
Yes, let's believe and pray. Hope some you can hear me.
Perfectly, sir.
Yes, let's believe and pray. Father, we thank you for who you have been since we started our session up to this time that we have come to an end. And to thank you because of every individual that has been engaged and involved in this discussion, the language that have been shared by our main speaker, King of Glory. We pray that you make us understand and put it into practice to grow our businesses. Pray for every customer that his business will grow and they'll be able to meet again in the next session. We ask you to be with us in all our ways, in all our engagements of the week, for we know that you want to give us this that we have asked, believed, and trust in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed day, and God bless you, everyone. See you next week, same time, 11 to 12:30.